This is one of my apiaries with a nice swamp look after Ida. This is about, I don't know, 3 inches of water. If my girls weren't up on pallets, they'd be in the water. They're very busy. Still just fine. Lots of water. They're basically in a lake. Ah, almost fell down. See, this is definitely swamp anyway because I have the pitcher plants here. And of course there's going to be some silly girls that think they can swim. But definitely, yikes. Other than that, they seem, their lids are still pretty tight. Still have a little pollen patty I gave them. Didn't know how long they'd have to be in there. So this yard, they're up out of the water. So that's good. Nothing like having a lake. So this is the after the storm, and it's been a couple of days because you want to stay off the roads. And yet, none of my lids lifted, as I kind of suspected. We really only had about a tropical storm on my side, and we did have some, gusts that went up and some tornado warnings. And so little microbursts can happen, but so far in these yards nothing has happened, and with the clearer weather they're definitely all flying. An encouraging sign that the winds were not so high and the rain's too hard. Even though, it was very hard. We got about 8 inches of rain that the girls are now still bringing in pollen. So the pollen wasn't shook off. It wasn't shook down. And there's plenty out there. I've got bees consistently going in, and I've seen, again, about 3 different colors. So that's a nice sign. Again, this is the worst yard as far as flooding, and I got lucky and there's no flooding. I can actually still drive in here. The wind knocked down some of the tall goldenrod. That's not that big a deal. Nobody's in water. Nobody's in standing water. Nobody had to, just even get wet. My area where I would have standing water is none. Just a tiny bit. You can see. I had more in another yard on a higher area. Everybody seems just fine. They're all flying. And even the lids that were propolis are still just propolis, just tight as anything. That propolis can do it. as long as it has nothing to grab. I appreciate everyone's comments telling me to do an update. Everybody's flying, doing just fine. So beekeeping on the Gulf Coast in the south. We have heat, we have hurricanes, and we have a short, mild winter that can dip into the teens, and it's all part of the game. The wildlife, the alligators, the snakes, you know, those of you up north have bears, and I used to live in Maine, so we've had hives destroyed by bears, and that's never fun. We all have our issues, and I'm lucky enough to be on an area where it's very, very clean. There's no big agriculture. There's no huge amounts of spraying. You know, I can't control what everybody does, but these bees have really healthy nutrition from all the wildflowers, and that's one of the biggest things I can ever ask for. This is my high yard, and even up here, the biggest thing that happened, it looks like, is that the grass grew. So yes, I'm very lucky. It could have just as easily been a big event. No lids lifted here either. Those are the ones that were not propolised. The bricks are still in place. A lot of times I do believe that low to the ground, the wind doesn't quite grab it. And on this end there is a pond, and it's a little bit fuller, but it's not too full. You know, there was a frog. And this is my alligator hole. Can never tell where he may be lounging. Apparently you can't run from an alligator, and I don't intend on doing that. But, so, yes, I'm lucky. I can only prepare so much. The bees are taking advantage of all the sun. Nothing lifted. And now we're just waiting on the goldenrod to bloom. This may be interesting. It's a 5-gallon bucket that I left right side up, and it filled the 5-gallon bucket. So yeah, they had plenty of rain, but due to the fact that we hadn't had rain in a couple of days, or actually almost 2 weeks prior, we were very light on rain, and the ground was able to absorb it and allow the runoff so that we could actually not be flooded. And as I drove through town, I did not see any major flooding. I just saw runoff ditches full. But that was about it. Again, I really appreciate you asking for the follow-up. And while it would have been maybe exciting to see something happen, I'm very grateful that nothing happened. Until next time, happy beekeeping.